Business owners, so you're thinking about relocating your business, or maybe you're looking to expand a business, or maybe you're looking for a new location, new area that would be best for you. Well, in this video, we want to talk about why Detroit, Michigan might be high on that list. So you're thinking about moving your business to Detroit, Michigan, or maybe Detroit's not high on that list. Maybe you didn't even consider Detroit, Michigan to move your business to. Well, in this video, we want to deep dive into Detroit, some of the benefits of operating a business in Detroit, Michigan, and Michigan as a whole, so you can understand a little bit more if this city is for you and your business. My name is Matt Talbot. My team and I help people just like you every single day move here to Michigan, and we absolutely live for it. In this video, we're going for a little bit different dive. We're going for a little bit different vibe. We're going for a little bit something different, and that is businesses. Diving a little bit deeper into moving your business here to Michigan. That being said, maybe you're thinking about moving here yourself. This video will also be very beneficial to you because there's some really good statistics we want to review and give you an understanding of the lay of the land. It will help you understand a little bit more about Detroit, why it's beneficial for businesses, why it might not be beneficial for businesses, and why it may or not be beneficial for you as well too, because I'm assuming 80, 90, 95% of the people that move here to Michigan are going to be in today's workforce, and this video would provide video to them as well too. So if that's you, stay tuned for more fantastic information on this video. So in this video, we want to deep dive into the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which is a corporation that really deep dives into some of the statistics, some of the data to really give you an accurate understanding of what you get in Detroit and Michigan compared to other places in the country. So I think this is a fantastic article we want to source. And I think that more importantly, it gives you, whether you're a business or whether you're a personal, you're moving here for your family or very, very personal reason, it gives you a deeper dive and understanding into Detroit and Michigan, as there's a lot of misconstrued thoughts out there and a lot of misconstrued opinions, in my opinion, about Detroit and about Michigan. So why Detroit? So I wanted to just source, again, Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Detroit, a city where revolutionary ideas and businesses come to life. Rated as one of the top 10 cities for economic growth potential, Detroit has the talent, resources, and international infrastructure to help new and existing businesses thrive. From innovative thinking to economic success, it all starts here in Detroit. I wanted to read that paragraph because obviously they're breaking it down and saying things very simple, but this is very, very true. And we want to tell you why there's some value adds here in Detroit that might get overlooked compared to other cities. One of the first statistics that they talk about is top 10 economic growth potential. Detroit's growth brings tourists, its economy brings confidence, okay? 133,000 total engineers statewide. Michigan has the highest concentrations of engineers in the nation. 133,000 engineers. So in Detroit, selling real estate here, so many of our clients you call, they're new here to Michigan, they've been here for a couple years, and you say, what do you do? What's work? What do you do for work? What do you do for a living, right? It's always a natural question to ask someone when you get to know them, and so often, it's such a high percentage of the time, specifically here in Southeast Michigan, people say I'm in engineering. You see a lot of mechanical engineers, a lot of electrical engineers, and a lot of software engineers at one of the big three or one of the related companies to the auto industry here in Southeast Michigan, as well as some of the tech industry as well too, which we're finding the auto industry is really evolving into a tech industry. So there's a lot more overlap there as well too, but the highest concentration of engineers in the nation. So lots of very, very smart thinkers, lots of, how do I say this properly? Overthinkers, maybe. Some of our engineer clients, they really want to dive deep into the data when they're purchasing a house. They want to understand things specifically. But tons of engineers, mechanical, electrical, software engineers. I mean, just unbelievable amount of engineers here in Michigan, 133,000. This is also a very interesting statistic that they quoted from an article that was written about us. But third in the U.S. for cities attracting millennials, Detroit was named one of the best places to live for tech entrepreneurs. So lots of technology here in Detroit. We have WeWork downtown. We have a lot of different tech advantages here in Detroit as well too, and is ranked third in the country for attracting millennials. There's a lot of people moving for Detroit for a lot of specific reasons, a lot of young people moving here, and I love it because a lot of people say, well, why would you live in Detroit? We get all these nasty comments about Detroit. I think it's so funny because so many people that move here from different places in the country absolutely love it. I have a really interesting case study actually from a while back. It was a gentleman that I knew that he actually was graduated from Ivy League school, had a really good job, and decided, hey, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go check out all the big cities across the country and figure out what's best for me. Got in a van, drove city to city, and had been to about 20 big cities or 30 big cities across the country. When he got to Detroit, fell in love, hasn't moved since. And I think a lot of people, that's what they find. It's underlooked, it's undervalued. They don't always understand. They get to Detroit and they really check it out, look under the hood, and they realize the amount of culture and great things that are happening here in the city. And so it's number 3 in the US for millennials wanting to move here to Detroit. Up next on our list is expanding your business here to Detroit. So something that I think is very underrated for a lot of people, specifically in business here in Detroit, the city itself, and Metro Detroit, is the amount of infrastructure that's in place for big businesses. So if you think about Detroit, with the history of Detroit and how things have changed, right? There has been lots of ups and downs, right? In the early 1900s, it was like the epicenter of the world. It's where cars were developed, where the assembly line was created, right? All that good stuff. So people wanted to be here as a very thriving economy. And as people know, at one point, Detroit kind of took a dip. The auto industry changed and it really, hit our city hard. And there's been a lot of changes since then. And it's a beautiful place. There's tons of changes, tons of good things happening. But also something to consider if you're thinking about moving a business here is the infrastructure is in place. So there's lots of land and lots of infrastructure in place to build big facilities, big organizations, or smaller organizations as well too. So bang for your buck when it comes to commercial real estate, when it comes to being able to set up manufacturing facilities, manufacturing plants. We have a lot of different options and a lot of different incentives to do so here in Detroit and Southeast Michigan. So kind of an undervalued thing is some of the vacant land and some of the vacant properties that we have in certain areas throughout Detroit and Metro Detroit for businesses to move into. You have your electricity, you have your gas, you have your bones, set up today, which in today's build cost and the footprint of building is so expensive in today's world, that having that ability and that infrastructure to move in and maybe renovate to make it your own can be a huge value add and save you millions for certain organizations. Up next is the cost of doing business in Michigan. So here's some statistics here. First, a paragraph. Businesses are coming to Michigan and businesses are expanding their operations here because of a business-friendly environment that the tax foundation ranks among best in the nation. So 6% corporate income tax, 4.25% personal flat income tax, 6% sales tax, and no local sales tax. So 6% across is for the state only, no additional local tax. So Michigan's how that relates to cost of living. So that's the business side of things. How that relates to cost of living. Michigan's cost of living is 11% below the national average and ranks as 4th most affordable states in the country. 11% below the national average and 4th most affordable states in the country. So you get a lot of bang for your buck, both for your business to come here as well as to live here personally as far as cost of living. So it's the best of both worlds. There's a lot of incentives for businesses to move here. There has been a lot of businesses moving here, and I think that will continue to happen, as well as good cost of living for people throughout the country. So we want to talk about a couple very specific states and areas: Washington, D.C., Chicago, San Francisco, and Brooklyn, New York. So to give you 4 different examples of cost of living here compared to some of the other places in the country, if you're thinking about moving from one of these states, this could be a great stat for you. Living in Washington, D.C., is 36% more expensive than living in Detroit. In fact, Forbes rated Detroit as number 1 city in America where your paycheck will go the furthest. Number 1, according to Forbes, Detroit, your paycheck will go the furthest compared to any other city in the country. Detroit's entertainment scene is unmatched with 4 major professional sports teams, popular theaters, as well as known cultural festivals. So lots of things happening downtown as well too. Up next is comparing Chicago to Detroit. So living in Chicago is 16% more expensive than living in Detroit. And with everything from urban excitement to great outdoors, Detroit provides the best of both worlds, including vibrant downtown shopping districts and plenty of year-round outdoor activities. So in the city of Detroit, it's 16% less expensive to live in the city of Detroit compared to the city of Chicago. And I think there's a lot of bells and whistles that you get from living in Detroit or Southeast Michigan, and that's throughout the state. 1, 2, 3 hour drive, and you are in beautiful rural country, you're on a great lake, you're on a lake, you're doing something outdoor as well too. So I think a very underrated reason to move your business here and to move yourself here is because you get the best of both worlds. You can get that really city living, you can get that city vibe, the bustling of the city, all the different pool of potential employees for employers to pull from in Detroit, in Southeast Michigan, but still be able to drive up north or drive to the lake and thoroughly enjoy the outdoors as well too. I think that's why other states are so sought out. Places like North Carolina and Florida and Colorado come to mind, and Michigan's very underrated when it's a couple hour drive up north of what you get for that. This is a big comparison. So up next is San Francisco. We have a lot of clients moving here from California. So California, a lot of people are leaving California, coming to Michigan. We have quite a few clients that have done that through the years. I can think of 5 or 6 in the last year that have called us that have moved here from California. San Francisco to Detroit. San Francisco is 60% more expensive than moving to Detroit. So if you're in San Francisco and you're working from home and you're thinking about a new place to live and you have family in the Midwest, you like the idea of living in the Midwest, Detroit might be the option for you because it is 60% less expensive. That is a big jump. If you're working from home, you get 60% less cost of living in Detroit. Listen, San Francisco's cool and all. I know there's nice weather and everything, but Detroit is awesome too. And for 60% less, I think your bang for your buck goes a lot longer, a lot further than living in San Francisco, without a doubt. Up next on our list comparing Detroit is to New York, and specifically Brooklyn. Brooklyn is 52 more expensive to live in Brooklyn than Detroit. Detroit also offers a lively downtown atmosphere and hundreds of restaurants, new entertainment districts, and small world-class museums. So I think you get a lot of benefits in Detroit like you get in a Brooklyn or a New York. Obviously not to the extreme throughout all of New York, but Detroit's a big city and there's a lot of things happening, lots of different museums and restaurants and bars and tons of different things going in downtown. So you get that feel, and I think you get that kind of old school feel like you get in a Brooklyn, New York as well too, meaning it's an old city, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of cool architecture, all that good stuff that you find in Brooklyn. I think you'll find in Detroit for literally half the price, 52% less expensive according to this article. So I think bang for your buck moving from New York to Detroit could be a great option for you if you're considering a new place to move your business or considering a new place for you to live personally. Okay, last but not least is supply chain and infrastructure here in Michigan for your business or for you personally. I think gives you a little bit more of the lay of the land here in Detroit and Michigan as a whole. So before we jump into this, if you're thinking about moving to the area, if you're thinking about moving your business to the area, please hit subscribe and tap for notifications. That's huge for us. Please do so. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So up next, supply chain and infrastructure. Michigan is within 500 miles of nearly half the U.S. and Canadian population and commerce centers, providing unparalleled access to the market. So for those of you who don't know, you have Detroit, which is on the Detroit River, and literally only like a mile or so across the river is Windsor, and that is Canada. So it is a huge area to do commerce with Canada and internationally for a lot of businesses, which is why it's been such a thriving business place for such a long time, Detroit and Metro Detroit. And there's some very, very interesting statistics that tie into that. If you are an organization that does global reach, you want a global organization, you want to be able to ship stuff or get stuff to Canada and ship it across the world, this is or could be the place for you. So this is such a crazy statistic. $500 million in trade crosses between Michigan and Canada daily via the Ambassador Bridge, the busiest border crossing in North America. $500 million in trade crossing happens between Michigan and Windsor every day. $500 million. It is the biggest trade export place in the entire North America, okay? Lots of trucks are going in and out. Lots of things are happening in and out. And because of that, that could be a huge impact on your business if that's something that would help your business without a doubt. $500 million every single day is such a mind-boggling number to me. This is huge for a lot of people, both for businesses and for people personally if you're investing long-term in the area, and that's 20% of the globe's fresh water surrounds Michigan, the Great Lakes state. So we have 20% of the entire world's water, fresh water, is here in Michigan. 20% of the whole world's fresh water is here in Michigan. Talk about a long-term investment. So if you're thinking generationally, if you're thinking about owning, property for your grandkids or great-grandkids down the road, you're talking about generational wealth. I can't imagine that having 20% of the world's fresh water would ever be a detriment to your investment when you're talking about generations down the road. Top 10 in nation for road infrastructure with toll-free highways across the state. So I'm going to give you pros and cons on this one. So we're top 10 when it comes to infrastructure of highways, which is awesome. And there's no toll highways here in Michigan, so you don't pay for any of that as you're driving around. The flip side of that is, I'll be honest with you, the roads here in Southeast Michigan are not great. There's lots of potholes. Now, as you travel throughout the state, they get a lot better, but they're always constantly working on the roads here. It is definitely more of a con than a pro, in my opinion. I want to be real with you. Last but not least, 18 commercial airports in Michigan, including Detroit Metropolitan, one of the largest U.S. hubs. So this is huge. If you're thinking about moving your business here to Detroit, or if you're thinking about living to Detroit and you want to travel, so many of our clients are moving to Michigan and still working remote. So they need to fly back to DC or New York or California or Texas or Florida or whatever for work and stuff like that. And so having Detroit Metropolitan Airport is huge. It is one of the biggest hubs in the country for international travel. Specifically, Delta is one of the biggest hubs here for Delta. So you can fly a lot of places out of Detroit. Metro Detroit Airport, which is actually Romulus, Michigan. It's about 20 minutes from downtown. And if you're in Southeast Michigan, you're about 10 to 45, 50 minutes, maybe an hour max to the airport throughout most of Southeast Michigan. So that's huge for people to be able to get to the airport, fly in and out, go visit relatives, go back to your headquarters for your business. And that's huge for a lot of businesses as well too. Having that international trades with Canada, having such an infrastructure set up and having the airport to be able to get wherever you want is such a great reason to consider Detroit or Metro Detroit for your business without a doubt. My name is Matt Talbot. I am the associate broker of the Talbot team. My team and I help people just like you move here to Michigan or move your business here to Michigan. If that's something you're looking to do, comment below, send us a DM, let us know what you're looking for. We're happy to help you out at any time.